Boom, we're live. This is Tio and the Arcane Bear. It's another wonderful evening here in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. As I get ready to enjoy this live show with you all, I want to do first off a great deal of justice by remembering myself to thank all of you for consistently joining and supporting. It makes a huge difference. Actually, it makes all the difference to us. I deeply, deeply appreciate it. I wanted to go over a few more ideas, as the case for $1,200 Bitcoin is something that I find very interesting. Now, there's a few other sentiments and forms of analysis that can bring us to the same sort of conclusion. So I accidentally had the live show that's with Tyler Jenks tomorrow night left on the stream for tonight. So I apologize for anyone that was waiting in there. That was my fault. I clicked the wrong calendar date while making that show. It's for tomorrow at 11 p.m. my time, or about an hour previous to whatever time it is where you are now. And that's a great way to go. And while my thumbs are up, hey, smash that thumbs up button for us now. So I'm just going to dive in, and I want to share something with you guys that a friend shared with me. And while my thumbs are up, this isn't actually my content, so I'm just going to give a shout out to Super Crypto. You can find him on Telegram as well, or Twitter as well. This is leading to the idea of manipulation, and I've always said I don't agree that manipulation is a factor, but I'm looking at it from a much broader perspective. I'm usually speaking universally. I think no matter what you do, you end up playing into the waves of the universe. So I don't see manipulation as manipulation. I just see it as part of the overall story that's supposed to take place, that all the humans are deciding to agree on the same thing. Now, I like what they've done here. They're basically talking about the CME futures, things like paper Bitcoin, and the price depression that's happened in many other markets using the futures BS system, essentially. So I will leave a link to Super Crypto's article here as well, so y'all can read it. But basically, it goes over uranium futures started May 2007, and then you can see the price suppression all the way back down to the bottom. So here again, you see a very similar wave to what we've seen in Bitcoin, and also tends to bring us to that lower, what would look like a much lower area in BTC's original price. Here's the gold monthly price. The same time futures started as well. This is again the paper suppression of an asset by trading things that don't yet exist. Huge creates a lot of problems. Here's the silver chart. Now, with the day the CME futures started, again as well, you have a massive price reduction down to the $15 area where it stayed. So here he then compares Bitcoin on the launch of the futures CME date. So far, we've had an 80% crash since then. So this is just another leading indicator that could be for the first time we do something like break below the 200-day moving average. We did get a little bit of flack for this, saying, well, in the past, Bitcoin has never gone below that 200-day moving average. Well, in the past, we also didn't have institutional money trying to control the price, and maybe not manipulate it. Let's just say suppress it. Again, manipulation to me, I always try to take a broader perspective. That way, I'm not the victim. And here, if you're able to pay attention to what's happening first, you don't end up the victim because you know what's going on. So it's a great article. I really like this article by Super Crypto. Thank you to Dale for sending this over to me before tonight's show. He just goes over the price plunge protection team that exists, so they stop asset trading. And it's just a really good article. Anyways, I do like that. I also like his sentiment here, which I'll save. He says, less hodling and less buy the fucking dip. More sell the effing rallies. I gotta remember not to swear. YouTube actually demonetized me. I forgot about that. Not that it matters. It's just YouTube actually, when they demonetize you, they don't list your video, which means you get less views. And hey, I love views. I love the views. So sell the effing rallies and buy the effing deep dips. So I think we're about to enter a deep dip area and likely down to the $1,200 and $1,000 portion. There's a lot of evidence to think that might be the case. But with that in mind, it's not inevitable. Nothing's inevitable on the planet, and we really, really are excited about the fact that anything could happen at any given moment. That's an extremely beautiful thing. So here we were watching the charts today. We've, again, for those of you that don't like to play in the waves, these are great times to be shorting and taking longs because there's so much volatility. We've had more volatility in the last 2 weeks, both up and down, than we had seen in the last two to 3 months prior, with the $500, $2,000 moves upwards, bouncing off the $6,000 floor. Now we've had moves in downward range of almost $3,000 and then up in the few $100 range. So there's a lot of potential economic energy to take advantage of in these situations. Again, you can see we bumped up right against the larger volume profile fill here, and then came back, bounced right off of this top here. Like, it's always such a beautiful thing. I love this volume profiler. So again, this is not the technical trading works, but you have to make sure you're using it properly. It's not a prediction model, it's a possibility model. So we want to take a look again, just for the what we are looking at, BTC to USD on Coinbase. We'll continue to use the same chart here. Let's see. Excuse me. I don't know why it hasn't changed over my other charts here. Just quickly reload this. So we've been using the Bitcoin to Coinbase chart, and we're let's see here. This is it. No, that's Tether. Don't want to look at Tether. Here we go. So we'll scroll out to the 1 day. This is the one that we consistently keep referring to. In my last video, we talked about the areas of support that we had seen. I said a hot butter to knife. Same. You get the same thing. That's not actually the saying. I do realize that. But when you're spitfiring as fast and as quickly as I do, and sometimes a little bit dyslexic, hey, that's the way it happens. But nonetheless, so hot butter to knife. I actually laughed quite funny. That's a hilarious quote. But as you can see, we cut through this first area of support, which we originally postulated was our bounce line. But seeing as we cut through that so quickly and didn't make a higher return, that's not a very positive sentiment, but likely we're going to fill down to around the $2,700, $2,800 area and return back up to the $3,900 area. I do believe we'll fill this volume profile here for the next month or two, likely, before finally again losing support around this $2,500 area. And then as you zoom out, especially on the logarithmic chart, this becomes a little clearer. On the logarithmic chart here, you can see that we have this big profile fill range that really starts to approach near the $1,200. Now, there's a lot to be said for this this little graphic here, because the first range of support starts at 1,200, but it slips all the way down to 800 before you see the larger fills. Now, this here between the 500, 800 and 1,000, $1,200 area, these feel fairly consistent the way you'd want to see a volume profile fill. Nice steps upwards. I like that. So this area looks more consistent for where we would likely drop to. Now again, technical analysis is not, oh, by the way, this is not financial advice. Someone suggested we get a banner, and that's like my new slogan. I think the new Arcane Bear slogan is just, this is not financial advice. Anyways, again, so the first volume profile area that was supposed to be a support and or turning out to be the resistance now, viva la resistance, is around 4,000. So we haven't even bounced up to touch that yet. We've been doing nothing but dropping. So I do suspect then $2,800, and then we'll probably bounce up and down between this area, especially filling this $3,000 to $3,200 area. Needs a lot of energy, but even still, we might just cut right through that in the next few days and come all the way down to 2,800 quickly. There's nothing to say that this won't happen quickly. Again, in my other videos, I had stipulated that all the economic unrest like we see in France and other areas of the world are not a positive sentiment. So and also we need to remember that the perception of value of assets only really has value when things are going well. Perception of value is actually a privilege. I've come to believe and understand that we don't get to view value as something that we can perceive until we have the privilege to do so. Otherwise, survival is the only key mark there. This is actually resonated in the quotes of Seneca, who says, first it's what is necessary, then is what is enough. And once you have what is enough, that's when the birth of value of perception comes to play, because you have the free time to be creative and you're liberated to pursue your own interests and dreams. But other than that, if you ever go back to the survival means, we definitely lose the perception of value area, and people only care about food, water, and community. That's a big deal. That could drive the sentiments of everything down. Remembering that the majority of the world lives under the poverty or near the poverty line. If things start to get even a little bad, it makes it very hard on them. So for instance, where I live in Costa Rica, USD to CRC. So we have the Costa Rican colone. So over the last year here, the Costa Rican colone was started off at 553 colones per $1, and at a high just in November here, we are at 620, 612, and now back around 590. So that's around a 12% inflation rate just over the last year, and more importantly, just over the last few months. That means anyone in Costa Rica is having a difficult time because they're getting paid in the Costa Rican colone, yet most of the imports and exports that they have to deal with are all in the US dollar. So emerging markets are getting close to the point where they're going to be focused solely on survival. And that's important to remember. You may not feel it where you are at first, but that doesn't mean it's not happening. So please keep that in mind, that the value of assets really is determined by people's ability to have the privilege to not be focused solely on survival. Anyways, with that in mind, I do suspect those corollaries will start to bring us lower, and that is my case for $1,200 Bitcoin. Please join us for tomorrow's show when we have Tyler Jenks on with us as well, so he can share his thoughts and his expression for why we would likely go this low as well. I just want to do this so people are aware of the possibility. Not that I think, hey, this is exactly what's going to happen. Let's just look at all the possibilities. The first possibility that we put on the table back in June, after we didn't break out in May, when we said, okay, this is it, like it's confirmed in my mind, not financial advice, but confirmed in my mind, a total change of direction. Let's stay optimistic and see, because at least Bitcoin's acting stable, and that was amazing. People have often asked me why I don't talk more about stable coins, and I've actually looked into a few more of them, especially in these times. Something like the True USD, which is actually an Ethereum-based token, which isn't Tether. There's some cool stuff out there. It's I had a great conversation with the business development at Cointelegraph today. First off, hats off to them. They said the Arcane Bear Telegram community is one of the most vibrant and supportive crypto communities out there. So thank you to all the admins and all the Bear family in the Telegram channel down in the links below. Join it if you have not yet. It is a very beautiful place to share your thoughts and learn and grow together. I'm very grateful for that. And that's what we need during these difficult times. So just to make clear what we're doing and understanding that this is not like, oh my God, my hat's on fire, run around in circles. This is just keeping an open mind to the possibilities. So I'm going to take one of your guys' questions, because I always love this part of the show when we just kind of drop in and take a look at the random. It's one of my favorite things to do. I'm a huge fan of the rant, as I'm sure some of you have already noticed. So I'm going to flip the screen back around here, show you my silly face, and then answer a few of your guys' questions. So, J Card says, hey Tio, can you address the high number of shorts currently is about the same as $20,000 shorts and price was 6K? People have say that we have way too many shorts. Seeing the picture as it is wrecked. No, I don't think this is the case. I think the fact that there are so many shorts just means there's that many people that are confident we're going to continue to go lower. I don't see it as a bad thing. You have smarter money playing in this ecosystem more so than ever before. So that's an indication of maybe an intelligent move to make. I've said this before, that sometimes the best thing to do is follow the herd. That's not always the best thing to do, but sometimes it is, especially if you don't want to get chewed up and eaten out by a larger or pack animal. Just a thought there. Let's take a look. D. Harris says, YouTube is manipulating Tiho. That's very possible. That actually, you're right. They do. They manipulate my numbers. That's my fault though for swearing. They do make it very clear that I'm not supposed to technically do that in their chats and their channels. Wow, over almost 500 of you online right now. Give us those thumbs up. Smash that like button or whatever it is. Yeah, the like button. Very helpful to the YouTube algorithm not manipulating us. Actually helps push us up the charts. YouTube loves it when you guys leave comments and do all that stuff below as well. I do my best to engage in those conversations when there's an actual conversation to be engaged with. Otherwise, I just don't. So there's that. We'll roll through a few more of your guys' thoughts and questions here. Nice. Cool. Wow. Someone says type in BLX trading views so you can see. Oh, so BLX. Okay, this is the maybe this is Kraken, I think. Let's take a look here. Someone wants me to type in BLX. BLX. The Brave New Liquid Index for Bitcoin. No, I'm not going to touch that. I'm not going to touch that. There's the Kraken one, BTC to USD Kraken. I think one of our Telegram members had sent it to me because I know Kraken has more data, but it's unimportant. It's gonna. I'm looking at the same conclusion regardless if we have an extra year or two there. It doesn't make a difference. All we'll do is fill in the lower profiles that are down near the penny range. So again, it's not that important. If we go that low, I mean, Jesus, the end of the world is nigh. Because if we ever end up that low in any of these assets, it's because a meteor hit friggin' New York or something ridiculous. So I'm not gonna look. We don't need the extra data right now, but I will take a few more of your guys' questions. Marco Zander says more negative clickbait is not what we need. See, I don't think people understand the difference. This is not clickbait. This is simply a reality. If you think reality is negative, well, I'm sorry, your perception is so faint. You can make money on ecosystems going up and or down. So maybe do a little bit more education. It's your best investment, I think. There, Marco Zander, is probably to educate yourself. It's not negative clickbait. It's called information. Information. It's actually a communication of value, which is exactly what money is. Anyways, let's take a look at a few more of your thoughts tonight here. Nice. D. Harris says he got the first dislike. Thanks for the dislike, D. Harris. YouTubers need to talk long and tards will follow. I don't even know what that means. Don't even know what that means. Just join now. Why do you think it could go to 12,000? No, 1,200. Just you can, once the video is done being live, you can go back. But basically, volume profile fills. There's actually a few others. The Super Crypto, his reports on the CME futures price suppression stuff as well. Very informative as well. Johnny Turbo says the S&P 500 is down. Okay, so actually this is another great point, and this is what I was trying to allude to earlier, is that when market sentiments break, people go into survival mode. So S&P 500. Okay, yeah, so 21 points, 0.8% in the last day. So you look over the last 5 days. The market's just opened. So basically, we're going to retest that recent low. Yeah, that does not look good for the stock market right there. So that's not a good sign. If you take, that's actually a fairly weak sign and indicator. I would. The stock markets could go for free fall right now, which is going to also drag the sentiments of Bitcoin down. Again, people are not going to run to the medicine because they don't realize that the dollar is sick. They will run to the dollar. They do believe that the dollar as a stable coin is worth something when it's not. So even though we know we're in the right place, the masses and herds have not figured that part out. So the S&P 500 making this, especially this, I wish I had actually, what am I doing? I have TradingView right here. S&P 500. There we go. We'll go to the SPY. We'll take a look at this. This is, see now, if we were looking at this in the, wow, big trading gaps. Those are some big gaps. Anyways, I'm on the 15-minute. That's probably why. This downward flag right, this downward flag right here, or channel, whatever you want to call it. That's very bearish to me, especially now that we've had a new low since last time and we're about to test previous lows. This could be a very dangerous week for the stock market, which, if anyone wanted to know, the QQQ, I believe, is actually the inverse of that. I believe it's the QQQ. Someone will know. Which is the pro shares. Look, guys, I know stuff about the stock market. There we go. The ultra short. There we go. That's what it is. So take a look at the TQQQ. This is, oh no, what's going on? I know stuff. I'm such Such a ridiculous human being sometimes. Okay, so the TQQQ is actually the inverse, I believe. No, is it the VIX? One of you guys is going to know which is the inverse of the SPI. Is it the VIX? Volatility of the S&P 500. Anyways, there's a short ETF that basically charts the inverse of the S&P 500. I think it's the VIX. Yeah, there we go. See, so as the S&P 500 goes down, the VIX goes up. So look at this trading range from 16 to 30. That's almost 100% gain in the VIX in the last 2 days. That's a massive market move. So again, the VIX is actually a leveraged volatility ETF against the S&P 500. So I bet you're going to see a lot of momentum in that, especially as the S&P 500 apparently is retesting its lows from last year. Previous of March. No, let's go to actually the 1 day here. Thanks for pointing that out in the S&P 500. This is a great indicator. So the recent lows of this year. This is actually all within this year. This is a very leaning towards a very bearish indicator. So again, and you could come dropping down to 218 points. Look at the volume profile fill here. There's almost nothing holding them up once they break 260 on the S&P 500. So I would we'll keep a really close eye on this, because I would put a bet on this is probably going to crash. Either that or they're going to turn the old printing press back on and get us that much closer to hyperinflation that much faster. One of the two. Those are really their only two options. So thank you for pointing that out. And again, for any that do play in the traditional stock market, I figured it out. It's the VIX, and the VIX is the opposing volatility stock of the S&P 500, which is essentially like shorting the S&P 500, but without leveraged, which means you can't get liquidated on your play. So it's anyways, fun little side note there. Stock market stuff. Let's go back, answer a few more of your guys' questions and thoughts. Cool. Take a few. Okay, so Crit Shot says accumulating under 2,800. Great. We think anything around any of these ranges. Okay, I've said this before. Let's say, again, not a financial advice. If I were interested in buying $10,000 of Bitcoin right now, and I'm like, hey, I want to buy. Don't just buy all right now. What I would do is I would likely grab some around the $3,000 area, and then again around the $2,600 area, and then again around the $1,600 area, and I'd diversify. So I ended up getting a price range of around like $2,500. And if I never hit that bottom low, well, then I'd double down on the way back up, because it's going to bounce around here for a while now. It's not like this is just going to all of a sudden go rocketing to $10,000 when we see the S&P possibly crashing. It just doesn't make any sense. It was very, very... sometimes being counterintuitive is a good way to go, but this is I wouldn't put money on being counterintuitive right now. So we'll keep that in mind. We'll take a look at a few more of your guys' thoughts and questions here as we roll into I don't know how many minutes. Also, remember to give us those thumbs up if you haven't yet. If you're new to the Bear family, please do subscribe. We try to do video updates as frequent as possible. We also do vlogs about all sorts of fun stuff. We will be going to an orphanage for Christmas this year and bringing gifts, sponsored by our first sponsor on board, the Energy Cryptocurrency, ENERGI. You can find them in the links below. So shout out to our first sponsor on board. We are in conversations with bringing on more so that we can do humanitarian and conservation efforts every month, raising awareness and bringing donations directly to the people that are making a difference in the world. Very excited about that. Super grateful to be able to for the Bear family to be able to build this stuff together. So that's amazing. Thank you guys so much. Let's take a look at more of these ideas here. QQQ is the NASDAQ top 100. Nice. Thank you, J-Card, for VIX's volatility. Cool, guys. Thank you for helping me. It's been a while since I've looked at stock market stuff, probably like almost 5 years since, well, at least since 2016. I was really interested in shorting there for a little bit because we had that big drop. QID is to short NASDAQ. Nice. You guys totally bring in the extra information right now. I love that. Thank you guys. I appreciate the support there. I don't know. I only vaguely know what I'm talking about sometimes. We're getting close enough. So stoked about that. Hard to for BTC to go below 2,500. Again, I think there's lots of evidence to say why we would go below 2,500 at this moment in time. It's just unprecedented because we have big money in, and big money likes to play in the waters. If you add big fish to the sea, that means littler fish get eaten up a lot easier than they would have just a few years ago. So we have an unprecedented time in our ecosystem. So I wouldn't say that is going to be like any other previous drop that we've had. Just a sentiment that I've come to the conclusion of. J Card says, will you be in Chiang Mai while we're in Thailand, brother? Probably don't remember running the ferry in Copenhagen with my girlfriend this year. I actually do remember that. Funny enough, I get to meet some of the Bear family in the most obscure places. So J Card and I apparently met while we were on the Copenhagen, that's what it is. I don't even remember where the hell I was. The ferry to one of the beautiful islands in Thailand. I will actually be going to Pattaya for Wonder Fruit this year. So that's super exciting. But anyways, thank you guys for all the support. Very excited to see the future. All the you that's saying will not go below 2,500, you probably are not listening to me. I'm saying that these are very real and likely possibilities, not that they're going to happen. So keep your eyes on everything, because it's better to be aware of the lower possibility instead of be ignorant to say it by we will never go that low. There are lots of people on this channel that said we'd never go below 5,400 when we said 32 to 4,600 as our previous support in early April, June, July. We were saying 36 to 4,200. All those people that said, I haven't seen them come back to say anything since then. So I think it's just better to keep all possibilities in the mind open, because anything is possible. And as soon as you say it's impossible, it's that much more likely that the universe is going to give you some shit and prove you wrong. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. Thank you all for joining this beautiful evening, morning, afternoon, wherever you happen to be in the world. We hope you have a wonderful day. Give your family and loved ones a high five, a hug, a kiss, whatever it might be. Make sure that you enjoy the deeply wealthy and rich things that you already have in your life, because it's not a question of how much more you can get, but it's a question of how much you enjoy what you already have. This is Tio with the Arcane Bear. We are signing off for the rest of the evening, morning, or afternoon.